for having us, and I'm so glad that serendipitously I am here today. I remember coming here just a few days before Congress, so we are very pleased that the new year has started this way.
Yes, I know your impressive moment there, the Congress, the event, and how it all played out. You churned out your new leadership. Barrow returned as leader of the party. One would see this coming, right? The fact that Barrow has been returned as UDP's leader.
It was not predetermined. It was a democratic process, and I think his quality of leadership has impressed the delegates to Congress, and there have been new additions to the party, and we have, for the first time in the history of the Gambia, a woman national president in the name of Aji Yamonda Yabo. So really, we have had a very successful Congress, and the delegates determine the pace, the tempo of Congress, and we are very satisfied with the outcome, and those of us who were privileged to be returned to our offices are very grateful to the delegates and members of the United Democratic Party.
Now, one thing, we need to clear this up. You were churned as the Administrative Secretary, Legal Affairs, but you are also spokesman of the party. But you have an Administrative Secretary, Media and Communication. So how come you have what would look like two spokesmen for one political party?
Well, there is one spokesperson, there is one Administrative Secretary for Media and Communication. What happened with the spokesperson? This is a position that is appointed by the executive of the United Democratic Party. So even when I was appointed as party spokesman, I was not in the executive as an administrative secretary. But in Congress 2018, I was elected as party admin secretary for legal and human rights affairs. So it is not so much as two spokesperson. Media, especially new media, moves at a very fast pace, and you need a whole apparatus to respond in real time to some of these movements. But whenever the party has a statement to give, whenever the party has a press conference to organize, it is the spokesperson who reaches out to the media outlets and channels and present the party position. And this can go across all the party issues, from health, human rights, from finance to other aspects of it. So it's not, I mean, I think a party like us, we need a lot more, especially in the new media sector, so that we can keep up with your very fast-moving questions, as well as your very high demand for instantaneous responses.
Now let's talk about the issue of having newcomers within UDP making it to the executive, the national executive.
Yes. I am a newcomer to UDP, relatively speaking, but that is the nature of things. If you can prove your worth and your value to the party, and the delegates, most importantly, have confidence in you, even if you join UDP today, you are at the same status with Mr. Ousainou Darboe, the party leader and Secretary General of the party. As far as the party is concerned, every individual member who has met all the membership criteria is entitled to and is eligible to stand for any elective office of the party. So there is not much there. It's a democratic organization, and we are talking about unifying Gambians.
I will ask you two more questions on the issue of your Congress. One has to do with the leader of the Ahmadis praying at the Congress. That sparked a lot of furor. A lot of people condemned that, said, okay, in a mainstream Muslim event, you invite an Ahmadi leader to pray there. And you were the MC, if you like, of the event.
Yeah.
And I have engaged some members of your party, and what I have been told is that this was an error on the part of the master of ceremony, which he later tried to correct. Was this an error on your part?
It was not an error. The Ahmadis are Gambian, they are Muslims, they call themselves Muslims. We are not having a religious gathering at the Congress. Congress comes every 2 years. We ask for the prayers and the blessings of the event. There was no congregational prayer. We asked for Christian prayers. We asked for Muslim prayers. We ask for all prayers so that our program, our activity happens in peace. Anybody suggesting that it was an error or it was a mistake, obviously is not aware of what goes into. They were invited like all religious denominations, and quite frankly, we don't know which prayer is going to be answered. And we don't presume to speak between faiths. We are a political party, and we believe we are the majority political party. Therefore, every Gambian of every religious denomination is entitled to offer prayers to the United Democratic Party. I hope that we will be more tolerant to others who are not professing our own version of Islam, and make sure that when we deal with issues of faith, we are very measured and we stop trying to be intolerant or to become bigoted one way or the other. I think the Ahmadi community in the Gambia has been in the service of the Gambia for a very long time. They have schools here, they have medical facilities here, and and the prayer was done from the Quran. It was based on Ibrahim's prayer. And, you know, I really just don't understand why 1 minute of prayer for peace and for proceedings to be successful became such a divisive and polarizing point. I really don't understand this Gambia, because I was born in a Gambia where people go to Christian schools, they learn Christian hymns. Really, this was an biannual political gathering, and we invited every religious denomination in the Gambia. Only the Amir of the Ahmadi community showed up, and that prayer he offered was, as far as we can see, based on the rakas and the ayahs of the Quran. So really, I don't think there is any issue there.
But was this the official standpoint of your party, inviting the leader of the Ahmadi to pray at the UDP's Congress?
No, there is no official standpoint. We were starting the proceedings of the Congress. That was the opening ceremony. And we asked for Christian prayer. In fact, some people also said that it was an error to ask the Christians to pray first before the Muslim prayer. And the Muslims said that it's also an error to ask somebody who professed the Ahmadi faith to pray for the gathering. Really, I mean, the party does not have a position on this. I'm explaining here very clearly that Gambia is a multicultural, multi-faith nation, and all Gambians are entitled, and the constitution is very clear. There should be no discrimination whatsoever as far as religion is concerned. So really, thereafter, every session we had was led by prayer by the, by the Sunni Muslim imams leaders who were there. So really, I really don't understand why, even after 2-3 weeks, with all the problems that are happening in the Gambia, around the world, some people choose to fixate on that. I really don't understand.
Unfortunately, that is our country. And what much it has also done, we have seen the other side, NPP surrogates, politicizing this issue, saying, I have even listened to the radio and had NPP surrogates speaking on the radio on their NPP hour saying UDP is planning to, value Ahmadis more than Muslims when they take power. Not just that, what we have seen an MP, a whole elected MP, spoke on this issue, saying that what you did at your Congress was that you are going to give greater prominence to Ahmadis than Muslims when you form government, suggesting that Ahmadis are apart from Muslims.
I mean, this kind of nonsense, I don't think we should even spend any minute trying to debunk it, because nonsense is like that. I mean, how can anybody sit in their right mind on radio and say rubbish like that? Quite frankly, Mr. Njai, I really don't want to talk about what people say on their platform. It's so meaningless. It's so foolish for us to spend any time talking about this. You know, we ask for someone to pray for a minute, and you start talking about all these things. What Gambians are interested in my opinion, is that they want to have water, they want to have reasonable electricity, they want to have internet, and these are things that are not happening. All we hear from the NPP is talking about things that are completely devoid from reality. You hear it every day, and really, I did not come to Fatu Network this evening to try and debunk nonsense. Nonsense is always, the best place to put it is in the garbage can. Is of no consequence, is of no moment. We have had a successful Congress, regardless of some of the mistakes and missteps that happen in the arrangements and the logistics and some of the challenges which are part and parcel of voluntary organizations like this. We had a very, very good Congress. We had a very wonderful post-Congress rally.
But yeah, I was coming to that. At the rally, the power mess that happened there. I mean, the stage, what much we received, the reports are that, okay, it was the generator. Or it was, you have some who were claiming that it was Nawek that was deliberately sabotaging your rally.
It was the generator. It was not Nawek at all. It was the generator, and I think we were able to sort out those logistics also.
But also what it did, it dealt a blow to the speech of your leader there. Dabo at some point had to stand from the roof of his car to finish speaking.
At all times he was standing on the stage.
Yes.
We managed. I mean, we thought the speech was excellent, and it was well received, and it was well delivered. So really, I think these human hitches, if you have them in an organization, it's a sign that we are not claiming perfection or that everything will work according to plan. But the important thing is that we have serious plans for this country, and we had our party leader explicitly explain every point from youth empowerment to agricultural transformation. All of these are things that we believe Gambians are more interested in getting more information about that, rather than this fine picking that goes on in some of these political distortions.
Now, away from that, yesterday evening, the IEC announced, I'm sure your party was written too, that it is delaying or postponing the voter registration. They had initially set the next week, 14th of January, to commence this very cumbersome exercise. Now they are touting logistical challenges. I tried to personally speak to the chairman of the commission today, but I was rebuffed. They say they are not speaking any further than their very terse press release. I mean, your party issued a statement just moments ago saying it is totally unacceptable. As the party, I mean, did you see this, the issue of this very important process getting delayed?
Elections are extremely important. Electoral reforms for us as a party. We lost Solo Sandeng because he went out to demand constitutional and electoral reforms. So we take elections very seriously because they have consequences. And we have already started reaching out to our colleagues and other stakeholders within the election process. On Thursday, inshallah, we'll try to have common ground among the political parties to make sure that this unacceptable behavior from institutions established by law, institutions funded and managed by public finance, are doing their job That is all that Gambians expect from the IEC and institutions like it.
Yes.
You cannot come out with a message
Yes.
2-3 weeks ago that this is my calendar of events and activities. You get everybody mobilized, everybody put their resources together to make sure that this process is not only credible, but is transparent and it is going to be fair for everybody involved. All of a sudden, out of the blue, you came out with that task statement, if I may use your word, and say that until further notice. I mean, were you not aware of the logistical issues involved when you were setting the dates? Are you not aware that we are in an election year? It's like the institution is displaying for the whole of the country how really badly run it is, if not outrightly incompetent, because this is unacceptable. You voluntarily give us notice that, look, I'm going to start the registration process this day, this day, this day, in this manner. Yes. And out of the blue, without consulting anybody, you come out with this statement. The media wants to talk to you, you say you don't want to talk to the media. What's going on?
Did you, as political stakeholders, did you try to find out from them when they sent you a letter indicating or informing you that they are no longer proceeding with voter registration until further notice? Further notice, nobody on this earth knows when that is. Did you try to reach out to them?
We are reaching out to them here on this platform because the letter probably got to us this morning. And by the time that all of this broke out, we tried to talk to each other, the main stakeholders, that, look, this is no longer a question of finding out, because this reform process, a lot of people think that it is just between last month and this month. This has been going on since 2019. I remember very late in 2019, the EU sent a delegation of consultants to come with, I think, 21 recommendations about the electoral climate. We had a validation meeting at Ocean Bay with the IEC and all the other political parties at that validation about the tenure of the chairman, the tenure of the commission, and a lot of other reforms that they believe could not only improve the electoral experience for the Gambia, but is going to give credibility to the whole process. Yeah. That was followed by the IEC's own work nationwide to try and get opinion from the people about ballot or marble voting. There was a workshop in 2020. I think this was just on the eve of the COVID crisis. The former Attorney General, Honorable Batambedu, was at that 2 days conference. Yes. And we discussed about the opportunities and the prospects for ballot paper as well as the marble, and even samples of the ballot paper were circulated. I attended that consultation, myself and Yakumba Jaite, the National Assembly member. We were promised at that consultation, I believe it was in March, that the bill will come to the National Assembly as early as June of 2020. That did not happen. In September 2020, we had an order consultation at the Sadara Kairaba International Conference Center, just around the same time when the Constitution was being discussed by Parliament. Again, we had confirmation about the new electoral process, and everybody was expressing concern about time and logistics. Will the IEC be able to do this? Civil society was very, very adamant that, you know, diaspora should vote, and other processes should be there to empower and make the voting process very transparent. So a lot of time, a lot of resources have been expended on this whole reform process. But alas, with all our reforms since the beginning of this government, we have gotten worse and worse outcomes and results as a result of institutional failure and institutional degeneration, in my humble opinion. Yes. We really believe that it is now for every Gambian, for every political party, to stand up and be counted and demand that our institutions are effectively delivering on their mandate, the mandate that the law has invested in them. This is why we are calling on all our colleagues in the political arena to come together and provide a united front against this kind of recklessness and this kind of endangerment of our republic.
And in your statement signed by your leader, Usain Dabo, what you said was, it is totally unacceptable that changes to the electoral process are being shifted without due process and not in consultation with political parties and relevant stakeholders. So you are saying that you are accusing the IEC of shifting, well, making changes to the electoral process without due process.
But this is the evidence. This is what is happening. Your own Vox Populi went around, and nobody has been consulted. As a political party, we have not been consulted. So really, at the end of the day, civil society is also a major stakeholder in this as observers of the electoral process. I mean, a lot of our international partners have invested resources and time in trying to get us an electoral program that is credible, that is inspiring confidence. But this is what you get for thanks. You at the 11th hour, logistical problems. What are these? The people have a right to know what these logistical problems are. Most importantly, what are the conditions that in the first place ask you to announce? If you have problems, sit down, preferably with the stakeholders, and say, look, we want to announce these dates, but these are our challenges here and now. How do we maneuver around them? That way, people will have a buy-in, they will have the readiness and say, okay, these are genuine concerns, these are legitimate constraints. Let us see how we can help our own institution to do these things as transparently and as fairly as possible.
One thing this move has also done, that was a spillover effect, if you like. I mean, while people are trying to find answers to this move, then boom, the appointment of a new deputy chairman or vice chairman of the commission, Mr. Oremi Joyner. I was able to confirm with the IEC that the presidency last week wrote to the IEC informing them of the decision to appoint Mr. Oremi Joyner as the new deputy chairman following the resignation sometime last year of Male, or retirement, if you like, of Male. You reacted to this too, and what you said in your statement is that the UDP condemns the illegality of this appointment as a violation of and contravention of Section 42(5)(c) of the 1997 Constitution of the Gambia. You are a lawyer. What does this section say when it comes to
it says that any person who is associated, affiliated with a political party, not only presently, in the last 2 years, for example, I would never be qualified to be appointed to any position in the IEC. Maybe after I retire from politics after an extended period of time. So what the section says is very clear. If you are associated with the executive of any political party or any organization that puts up candidates for elections, within 2 years of that association, you shall not be eligible to be appointed as a commissioner of the IEC. Is
Mr. Oremi Joyner affiliated or associated with any political party or grouping or organization?
We believe so. That is the...
But do you know whether this is the fact, this is the truth?
Yes.
Before coming up with such a statement?
Absolutely, yes.
What evidence do you have?
There is a list of members of the NPP Banjul executive, and he is one of them.
He is one of them?
Yes.
Well, thank you. Well, let's also talk briefly. What we have seen is that the president has been moving around town, around the country. The nationwide tour continues. And these reports of Dabo also embarking on this tour, wherever Barrow lives, Dabo will go there. What is going on in terms of the small tour, if you like, of your party, UDP?
We are not undertaking any tour. I mean, we have every right to hold our rallies now that the state of public emergency no longer exists.
Yes.
But we know that the UDP is a national party. We have invitations in areas of people wanting the party leader to go to their area. Yes. This is something that we cannot control. Yes. It so happened that the president is doing a constitutionally mandated activity, but everybody now accepts as a fait accompli that this is a political campaign that President Barrow has been engaging on, going everywhere and saying all kinds of things, promising people all kinds of things, telling them that they should not be opposition. He told the people of Kiang because now they have electricity. And that kind of politics no longer satisfy Gambians or electorates anywhere. They want performance. They want you to deliver them a quality of life, a quality of education, a quality of living standard that is comparable to their neighbors. We see the progress that our neighbors, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, all of these countries are doing extremely well because their leaders are performing to the expectation of the citizens. Elections are coming. If you don't perform, Donald Trump has learned this the hard way. He lost. I mean, if elections come and people are satisfied with your performance, you will win. But if they are not, they will boot you out.
One thing I really need to ask this. I know Mama Kande was the first yesterday became the first politician to react to that, to respond to the president. The president made some very serious allegations over the weekend that there are political leaders in the country. And in this case, it would appear that he is talking about the opposition, those that are, well, a lot of people. I've seen Freedom's report that, in fact, he was referring to UDP. But this report that some political leaders are conniving, scheming with criminal business people to sell off the nation. What is UDP's reaction to this?
Again, like I said many times, the presidency is a very serious institution. It's actually the chief law enforcement institution. If the presidency has information of criminal behavior, it's a responsibility, it's a constitutional imperative that they should report this to the law enforcement offices. Standing on political platforms, when you are supposed to be meeting the people's store according to the Constitution and saying things like this, I mean, it's so embarrassing, it's so humiliating that this is what our politics has become. If you know a criminal is behaving, anywhere you see somebody trying to steal or attack somebody, people go and help themselves and try to stop criminality. Least of all, the head of state and the president of the country, they are talking like somebody who is at a campe place or somebody who is at a marketplace. This is not a serious thing. I mean, it's so ridiculous that we don't even have time to respond to this kind of things. Seriously, I mean, how does a country move forward if you have the president spending all his time in this kind of pettiness, in this kind of petty talking all over the country on issues that are completely irrelevant to the concerns of the Gambia?
How is your calendar going to look like, UDP? I mean, I know it's going to be a very grueling year for the country, for all the political parties. But how is it going to look like?
It's going to be very purposeful. It's designed to respond to the aspirations of the Gambians. It is hopefully going to present a credible alternative to this discredited government. It is going to be premised on policies and principles that can actually transform this country. And we are so eager to get the opportunity and the privilege to serve this country. That is why when we started this conversation, at every level, we want to respond on point. Yes. And we want to respond as clearly and as believably as possible. Because the time for throwing words around and sitting at places and just accusing people falsely and saying things that every Gambian knows that the Janneh Commission report had some very, very serious adverse findings. The Faraba Banta report, similarly. Recently, the governor of the central bank was illegally removed from his office. I mean, if you look at the scorecard of this government, it's unbelievable. Any Gambian, serious Gambian, would want to even engage with this government, the way they are doing politics. So our calendar is going to be about the people. The UDP is about politics of service, it's about politics of purpose, to make sure that this country moves away from these doldrums that it has been living in for the last 4 years. We need real change for once, so that everybody can feel like this is the country that we wanted. This is the country we had rescued from dictatorship. This is the country that people have died for. The TRRC is saying that by July they will come with their report. We are eagerly waiting for that, because every day, almost every testimony tells you the glorious fight that UDP members and Gambians have been doing against dictatorship, and from all walks of life. It doesn't matter what your station or educational attainment is. People have fought and died so that this country is rescued, this country is managed properly for the interest of the majority and for the interest of everybody.
I'll ask you one final question, which has to do with, well, you just talked about the reforms, the TRS, the draft constitution. When the president addressed the nation at the end of the year, what he said was, all hope is not lost, quote unquote. And he said there will be another, with emphasis, another draft at an appropriate time. What is UDP's position on this? Because the president said another draft. That is what he said. I mean, one might ask, what is he talking about?
Yeah, really, what is he talking about? Because what has happened, there was a deliberate sabotage of the will of the Gambian people in September. And we sometimes want to trivialize that. There was a process that was undergone. A lot of people talk about the cost. But really, this is also like a slap on the sovereign rights of Gambian citizens. People were consulted nationwide, internationally, and by and large, they have given their views as to how they want to be governed. Every constitution is about the future. In that future, it is for the people again to say, yes, this is what we want, or this is what we do not want. But as soon as the constitution was submitted to the president, almost on a daily basis, the Standard newspaper, drip by drip, is expressing the displeasure of cabinet over this provision, over that provision. And you heard some National Assembly members repeat, as if they are zombies, the same kind of talk that this term limit. Yes. Nobody has a 2-term limit. Yes. The president should be worried about whether he will have a second term. This is not unusual. This guy, Donald Trump, has just demonstrated to the world that if you don't perform, the people have a right to kick you out. So for us, our position is very clear. There is a draft constitution that the Gambians wanted. It is again for them to say yes or no. Bring this constitution to a referendum. It's a simple matter. So to go on national television and say all hope is not lost, that kind of weak statement, another draft, or even for that matter, this fruitless visit of former president of Nigeria, Jonathan. These are the kind of processes that just waste the time of a country like Gambia. This is a low-income, small country. We have so many things that we need to attend to urgently. And instead of that, we are having, one step back, 1 step forward, 10 steps back. So that kind of situation has led us to say that, look, let us get on with the electoral process. After that, we will bring back the constitution that the Gambians want and put it to them for a vote in a referendum as soon as possible. As far as another draft constitution is concerned, that has to be sanctioned either by the National Assembly, because even the draft constitution process started with the CRC Act of 2017. So really, any process that is going to happen now, any framework that they are thinking of, must start at the National Assembly. And obviously, we are a progressive party. We will look at all the options. We are not ruling anything out, but clearly what the Gambians have voted for, what the Gambians have spent their hard-earned money on, is a constitution that broadly gets supports across the spectrum.
Spokesman Almamital, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. That's the spokesman there of the United Democratic